The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Let's Up Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Let's Up Stores on all our social media platforms. Let's Up, craft your own footprints.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Three minutes past 12 midday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of the Interface Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Today is the 20th of October, 2023. Thank you so much for tuning in from wherever you're watching us from. I know you people watch us from as far as, the entire globe. People are watching us from South Africa. People are watching us from the United Arab Emirates. Those who watch us from Qatar. And those who watch us from the States, Canada. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. And of course, I'm not forgetting the Ugandans who are watching us live from every part of Uganda. Thank you so much for tuning in every Friday. As you know, we have retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye every Friday starting from 12 to 2 p.m. Trying to talk about the different issues that have been going on in the public domain, that has been going on in the country. And of course, we do not just talk about these things, but we try to find lasting solutions that will make sure that our country becomes better, or that will make you, the person who's watching us, make an informed decision at the end of the day. Today, it's an English version, and of course, we're going to be talking about a lot of things. First, the attack on two tourists and one tour guide in Queen Elizabeth National Park earlier, Operation Shuja, that has been going on in Congo for a while now. We shall also be talking about what is happening in the August House. the Parliament of Uganda. Francis Zake and the opposition continue to, let me use the word confuse Parliament according to some of the members there. A lot of challenges are happening, and of course the opposition last time had to boycott their sitting in Parliament. What does this mean? And of course, are they doing enough, or what can they improve in order to fight for the struggle, or to fight to support the struggle that is happening in this country? And of course, later on we shall talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict that is going on. Over 3,000 people from Gaza are dead. Over 1,300 people from Israel are dying in this war that has happened for a very, very long time. It has been happening historically up to today. The Israelites and the Palestinians in Gaza continue to fight. So those are going to be the thematic areas for this show. Please send in your comments and feedback. I'll be reading them subsequently in the second hour of the show. And in case you have any question, any comment that you'd like Dr. Kizza Besigye to address, feel free to send it directly on our social media platforms. We are streaming on the Alternative Uganda page, on Digitalk TV page, and of course retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye page. You can find us on all those various platforms, and later on we shall be posting this particular video on YouTube. For those who have missed it out, you can just go direct on YouTube and be able to view and send in your comments there. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome the four-time presidential candidate for the Forum for Democratic Change, a veteran politician on the political scene of Uganda, and one person that many Ugandans think has made magnanimous contributions to the development, and of course to the development of Uganda at the end of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye Kifefe. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Brother Edgar Matthew Karuhanga, and a very good morning to all of you out there who are tuned in to this program this afternoon. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you've had a good week since our last engagement on Friday. In our country here, things are always moving very fast. Life is increasingly tough for most people. The cost of living continues to soar and get out of reach of most people. So I know most of you are passing through tough times. For those who have lost dear ones, please accept my sympathy and condolences and prayers. And in fact, the country lost a senior citizen in the name of Henry Chamber, who is one of the leaders that has been prominent in all governments since independence.
Wow.
At independence, he was a principal private secretary of the Prime Minister and continued to be a minister throughout the different governments that have been here since then. And yeah, my condolences to his family and to the people of Busoga, where he hails from, and indeed to the whole country. And of course, this week we also celebrated in Kasese just yesterday the 57th anniversary of the coronation of the Omusinga of Rwenzururu, Omusinga Charles Wesley Mumbere Irema Ngoma. Congratulations to Omusinga and the people of Kasese for going through that during a time when Kasese has continued to experience, of course, very, very difficult security situations, and one of which you said we intend to talk about this morning. Yeah, so, and of course, we continue to live in a time when there are raging wars in Ukraine. War continues to rage there, but even more recently and rather more tragically, I must say, the war between Israel and Hamas that is going on again. Terrible human suffering in all these situations. So anyhow, life continues, and we keep pushing the envelope and hoping to have better time the day that follows this one. So welcome to this program.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's always a privilege to have you right here on the show. We're going to start off on rather a sad note. 2 tourists and 1 tour guide dies in Queen Elizabeth, allegedly murdered by rebels and terrorists. Doctor, this problem is recurring, keeps on recurring. We think that we are solving the problem, but it keeps on recurring. What do you think about this tragic incident that happened earlier on this week?
Well, first of all, my thoughts, of course, and prayers go to the families of the innocent people that were killed, the Ugandan tour guide and the 2 tourists who were killed in cold blood. Heartfelt sympathy to all the family members for this great loss, the relatives, of course, and friends, and indeed to the country for continuing to experience such tragic events. Let me also say that I up to now certainly don't know how it happened and who could have been responsible. There was almost prompt assignment of that incident to the ADF.
Exactly.
As has been indeed in many other situations. But quite obviously, those who are carrying out those kind of assignments have not shown the slightest evidence or pointer to why they think so. And so we are looking at the facts of the death, gruesome kind of murders, and the burning of the vehicle. Yeah, it's horrific. It inspires fear in whoever sees and interacts with that kind of a situation. And let me say this, that any attack on innocent, unsuspecting, unarmed people can never be justified for any reason.
Yeah.
Whether you say you have a political cause or any other cause, there is no justification for pursuing that cause through the killing of innocent and armed people. So any form of terrorism must be condemned unreservedly. It doesn't it has no place in a civilized society and must be condemned in its entirety. So, as I have said, you know, we really don't know who is causing this. Kasese has been an area where we have had several similar kind of incidents. You may recall that just a few days back, there was the killing of a lorry driver and occupant, and again, you know, destruction of the truck. Just a little while earlier, there was that again very gruesome murder of young school children, pupils in a school in near the border with Congo in Lubiriha town council, and you know, this again is happening against a backdrop of many other you know, violent and tragic incidents that have happened in that whole area. And it also happened in a week when there were reports in the news that the same ADF there that is being accused of being the perpetrators were also accused of trying to plant bombs.
Yes.
Here in Kampala and in a nearby district of Butambala, where bombs were said to have been planted or attempted to be planted in churches, in religious institutions. And we also know that a little while back, indeed, there were actually bombs that
Were detonated.
were detonated and killed people here in Kampala, and there has also been stories of others that have been preempted.
But Doctor, thank you. You build a very good background for this issue. And this shows us that all those cases you're highlighting out, they're happening in a short period of time. And it feels like, what are we doing in where we are in Congo? What are we doing? Are we learning something from the different experiences you're mentioning right now?
So, Edgar, this is something, you know, that we have talked about before.
Exactly.
Uganda has had, you know, repeated spells of insecurity almost throughout its existence. You know, it's a chronic, one of the chronic challenges that our country faces is insecurity. Sometimes it's more widespread than others. Sometimes it is confined in certain areas. For example, you know, we spent 20 years with insecurity and actually war, fully fledged war in northern Uganda.
Exactly.
We've had that situation that is attributable to cattle rustling in the eastern part of Uganda, all of which lead to many deaths. We've had situations, even now, of people, being killed in northern Uganda as a result of land conflicts in Apa, where many homes have been burnt and people are displaced. And so we are a country that at most times have serious security problems of different types. A little while back, you had the Bizambia phenomenon, people who were being killed with machetes in the Masaka region. Earlier, there were killings here in Wakiso of women in Entebbe, where women were killed and women killed, and so on and so forth. And that is, of course, not to talk about the prominent people that have been gunned down from time to time.
Yes.
So we are a country bedeviled with insecurity. And the question that therefore we need to, as a country, engage with is why? Why? What causes this endless insecurity?
Yes.
Because especially the violent killings, whether by guns or otherwise, whenever they happen, Mr. Museveni immediately issues a statement.
Exactly.
And an analysis. He makes an analysis where the managers of security made mistakes. He says, we've found that there were these mistakes and there were these gaps in the security arrangements. These have now been sorted out. And I can assure you, we are on top of our game. There is going to be security. Then it happens the next day. Then he identifies a gap and talks about mistakes. And it's an endless story. And in all, his response, all of his responses to all the problems we have had in security has been, we shall crush.
Exactly.
We shall crush those perpetuating insecurity. We have capacity. We have built capacity to crush them. We have technology, we have soldiers, we have new guns, we have this.
But they actually do.
New competencies. We have this, and we are going to crash. So whether he crashes or not, the point and the point we are engaging with this morning is that it doesn't stop.
Exactly.
It continues. So what drives it? It means that his soldiers, his technology, his skills, that training or whatever, have not yielded the results to ensure peace in the country. And I have said many times that peace is not the absence of war. You see, even in the absence of war, you can tell that there is no peace in this community. And one vivid example can be told from the leaders of our country. Leaders of our country, wherever you meet them, it's like they are on a war front. Heavily guarded.
Yeah, with heavy guns.
Yes, heavily guarded with patrol vehicles surrounding them. They don't allow them to stop in any place where there is maybe traffic or what. They will jump out and make sure a way is created for them to to go, otherwise they are in danger, you know. That's how all leaders live. Yeah, and of course, the higher you go, it's like the more terrorized they are.
The security threat is bigger.
We have, I think, the most directly, highly guarded leader in the world, Mr. Museveni. I don't think there is any leader of the world, including the leader of America or where, who is as guarded as Mr. Museveni. Mr. Museveni, first of all, his home is a barracks. He lives in the middle of a huge barracks.
He's a president. Aren't you a bit exaggerating, Doctor?
He's not the only president, as you know. I'm just telling you about comparing him with other presidents. And information is available on all presidents and where they live and how they are guarded. So this is not something secret. So the Special Forces Command,
yes,
within whose barracks he lives, has a strength of about 10,000 soldiers, those that guard him. And they have artillery, they have tanks, the whole, his home is surrounded by tanks, by artillery, by all kinds of, any equipment that is owned by Uganda guards Museveni, That's how fearful he is of the country he leads. If he's moving between his homes, and both his homes are fortresses, if he's moving from Entebbe Fortress to Nakasero Fortress, the whole way between the two as he moves is also turned into a fortress. Nobody is allowed on the road. He moves on the road alone. They close all roads leading into the road where he passes. Long before he even leaves his home, people are stuck in traffic jams. People are left by their flights. Those who are going to Entebbe for flights, the flights leave them. What? Because Museveni is about to pass. That is how fearful he is of the people he leads.
Just a minute, Doctor.
You have seen him now talk to Ugandans. He talks from a capsule
a bulletproof glass.
Of bulletproof glasses. That's where he stands to talk to his people. So that can, anybody who maybe wants to invest in Uganda or to do anything, or even I wonder how even tourists, the tourists that come are indeed brave. Because if you see a president behaving like that in his country, what about you, who is just moving around alone? How more fearful should you be?
But we've always been proud of saying Uganda is a peaceful country.
Yes, I am not one of those who are proud that Uganda is a peaceful country.
Haven't you had that narrative?
The ones who go with that narrative and who are proud are ignorant. That is all it means. So what I'm telling you is that peace is not the absence of war. You cannot have peace and you have leaders behave the way they do, including law people like RDC. RDC is also guarded.
It feels everybody is a king in where
he cannot
they are.
move. Yes, but you can be important without necessarily having soldiers to keep you. The reason you have soldiers is that you have threats around you. That's why you have to be protected. You go to rich countries.
The king of UK told you here one time he moves with one
Yes,
vehicle where
yes.
he is.
So
and his driver.
Yes.
The king of the UK.
Go to especially places like the Scandinavia.
Yes.
Or even the Netherlands. You'll see the prime minister is on a bicycle going to work.
Yeah, but this is Africa.
Rides a bicycle, stops at the red light like other road users. When the light is green, he rides on up to his office, puts the bicycle in the park, locks it, goes to his office, removes the biker's clothes, puts on his suits, and goes to do the work of a prime minister.
Yeah, but that country
When
has
the prime minister's job ends, he goes and changes into his biker's thing, goes to the bike and rides home, and waves to people on the way. It's just a job.
Such countries have been in a democracy for more than 300
It's
years.
just a job. It's not.
Uganda,
It does not happen in every country. So you go to the United States, you'll find similar because they are also very frightened of the. So the question is, why do you have that kind of situation? You see, and the simple answer is that wherever you have injustices, you will never have peace. So you must have social, political, environmental, cultural justice. If you have justice, you won't have to need that kind of security. The reason we have this is injustice. That some people have food, others don't. Basics, food. So if you have food in your home and everybody around you has no food, you must build a wall. And that's why anybody who is anybody in this country lives in a prison. They build for themselves. Build a wall, a high wall around the home. Put barbed wire on top of the wall. Put CCTV cameras to see those coming around to visit you.
And the electricity on the barbed wire.
Put in harsh dogs inside and so on and so forth. Why? Because the people behind the wall are bad off. You are enjoying everything inside the wall. That injustice, and the person enjoying inside has deprived the other one directly, has taken what belonged to the other one to be enjoyed inside the wall. That is what causes problems. The people you send off their land, who were having normal lives, digging, eating their food, happy, you come and get a title on all the land, bring soldiers and push them out. And you think
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Thank you so much for tuning in. First of all, I would love to apologize to each and everybody who's watching us right now. We got a small power interference, and that's why we have been off for these few minutes. We really, really apologize. It's not something that happens intentionally, but unfortunately, that is a challenge that we're still grappling with and trying to find solutions for that particular challenge. So apologies from the entire Digitalk team and myself and retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye. I also apologize to you, sir. The time we were leaving, or the time we had that challenge, you were still elaborating more of what is happening in the country, people building fences and fortresses around themselves, and you're trying to say that these are barring people from the outside who are underprivileged and those that are getting. So you're still elaborating the issue. You may continue, sir.
Yes, and I had my voice on Edgar's to apologize for. I don't share the same opinion that it's a small hitch. I think this is a major breakdown caused by the power outage that we experienced thanks to Meme, which is always on and off. So it's taken, I think, more than 20 minutes to be back. But we are back indeed. And at the time we flipped off, I was highlighting one of the major drivers of the insecurity we are experiencing, not just in Kasese which triggered this conversation, but nationally and chronically, that we have serious problems of social and economic injustice. Now, what is also very clear is that the social economic injustices are built and fortressed by political injustices. So in fact, the solution cannot happen. You cannot have social economic justice unless you solve the political question, because it is the political questions that have been engendering what we see as injustices of how people live. Who gets a job, who doesn't? Who gets a business, who doesn't? Who gets security, who doesn't? Who gets health care, who doesn't get health care? Whose children go to school, who don't go to school? All these basic problems start with the political question, whether we are equal as citizens. Because that's where it starts. You see, God creates us equal. And even if when you read our constitutions, they say we are born equal.
Yes.
And we are equal before the law.
Yes.
We have the same rights.
Yeah.
The question is whether that actually happens. And the reality is that it doesn't. Some people have a voice, others don't have a voice.
Yes.
Some people can go out now today and talk to Ugandans freely, others may not, cannot. There are, as we talk, hundreds, thousands even, of Ugandans rotting in dungeons controlled by the security organizations. And the most notorious now is the CMI, what is called the Chieftaincy of Military Intelligence. It is the most dreaded torturer of Ugandans today. Thousands. And even as we talk, they are rotting in the underground chambers of the CMI offices here in Mbuya. Anybody who cares, anybody who has their relative disappeared, they will either be in the dungeons of the CMI in Mbuya or in some of their safe houses somewhere in Kampala, or they would have been killed from there. Completely outside the law.
Yes, sir.
So you have one law for some people, you have another law for others.
Other people.
And once you have that kind of a situation,
Yes.
where even me, I cannot walk knowing I am free, I have no fear of losing my rights. I can't. I am always aware, conscious that at any moment my rights may be taken away. My freedom may be taken away. My life may be taken away anytime. So if you have citizens live in that kind of situation,
Yeah.
you will never have security. Never. So that is the first driver, that you have unequal citizens.
Yes.
You have those who are untouchable, who can do anything, who can take anything from anybody, and nothing happens. And you have those who are entirely vulnerable. Once you have that kind of a situation, where people torture others openly and nothing happens, and it's illegal. You saw, for example, how they tortured Kakwenza here. He was arrested from home. Those who arrested him are known.
Yes.
He came back dripping, having been terribly tortured. Nobody has ever been taken to court for his torture. So once you have such a situation, you'll simply never have peace.
So do you want to say it's the efforts of the state that has manufactured this insecurity?
Absolutely. So on two planes, on two levels. The first one is the deprivation of basics from citizens, that they have no food, they have no shelter where they live, they have no water, safe water to drink,
Yes, sir.
they have no health care, they are health insecure. That is the best, first of at one level. But at another level, then you talk about the rights, that we don't have the same rights, that I can work hard and what I produce somebody takes away and uses it on himself and leaves me with nothing, and therefore lives a better life, protects himself against me so that I don't complain to him why he has deprived me of what I'm entitled to, and so he guards himself. If I try to raise a voice, then I am hammered. So that is so first of all, the socio-economic injustice,
yes.
but all built on the political injustice. And that, because in Uganda, although we have a huge military and all kinds of military equipment, we don't have any foreign threat. We have not had any threat, whether it's from Congo, whether it's from where. Nobody threatens us.
Maybe the rebels in Congo.
Or even the rebels in Congo are Ugandans. They are not Congolese.
Yeah, but they are still rebels. So,
yeah, but it doesn't matter where they are rebels from. The question is, what made them rebels is Uganda. So they are Ugandan rebels. Their grievances are not against Congo. Their grievances are against their own country.
But these gentlemen you're talking about, and ladies and the rebels, they don't even have an agenda really. Because how do you say you want a country and you're murdering tourists, and you know that tourism is the biggest importer in Uganda?
You are mixing things again.
Yes.
You see, what I have told you is an agenda. The injustice is an agenda. How they go about protesting and expressing their dissatisfaction is a different matter. And as I have told you, for example, if it goes to terrorism, then it must be condemned. But it's not that they don't have grievances.
So there is an injustice
The
underlying
grievances,
what we are
the
seeing
grievances are not in question at all. The grievances are not in question. Even this whole thing of criminalizing a whole community of Muslims, for example, everybody now, if you are a Muslim, you are potentially a terrorist. As long as, the way they have been treating, capturing all these sheikhs and what, and eventually not showing any evidence to suggest that they are actually involved. So persecution, once something comes to persecution, it is motivation for people to fight. If I'm persecuted, I will fight. It's a natural response to protect myself.
Dr. Besigye, you've been battered many times, you've never murdered anyone.
And no, but I have a right to fight. This is what I'm saying. And that's why I have been telling people, hey, citizens, the only way we shall get out of this is to fight. To get out of the control and capture of the few people that have lorded it over us. We must fight them. We must resist them. That is the only way. So the question is how to fight. And I'm saying terrorism is not one of the ways that we should fight. Yes. But we should fight nonetheless. We have to fight for our freedom. It will not come without a fight. We have to fight for our rights. We have to fight for justice so that there is justice in Uganda, which can then ensure peace and stability.
Yes.
And sustainable development. So, what is happening in Kasese,
Yes, sir.
as I have said, should be seen against that whole background of what is happening in the whole country, that we live in a country, in fact, managed by terrorists. Because, and it's disingenuous of the government to accuse ADF of terrorism when itself it's a terrorist. Because the NRM junta is terrorist. I've told you how they treated the people of Kasese. Completely unnecessary. The massacre of the people of Kasese in 2016 was a terrorist act. No doubt. And then parading naked women, and the dead bodies piled in front of the palace. That was terrorism, state terrorism. And it has been repeated many times.
The one of 2020 is what also? 18th and 19th?
Terrorism.
And I think up to today nobody has been convicted.
Yes, state terrorism. So you cannot be a terrorist in government and you are also accusing others of being terrorists. Terrorism begets terrorism. And so, on the question of Kasese, I said, first of all, in the whole country, the socio-economic injustices will breed insecurity. And there is insecurity indeed across the whole country. That's why our leaders must move heavily protected. They know the insecurity that surrounds them.
Okay, I get you.
And so that is one. But secondly,
Yes, sir.
is the politics now. Because Kasese is one of the areas that has been very firm in rejection of the Museveni politics. First of all, they played a big role in bringing Museveni and NRM to power. in the Kasese was one of the bases, and they embraced the struggle and contributed to its success, but then experienced the injustices that were unfolding before them.
Yes.
In fact, including the rejection of their cultural institution. The Obusinga was strongly rejected by the NRM government, although it was allowed elsewhere. So they protested and rejected the NRM and have done so up to now.
Yes.
So in order to bring them under effective control, Mr. Museveni has tried to use what he knows best to crash. And that's what he was doing in 2016. Let's crash them. And indeed, he crashed them. There are mass graves in Kasese, and so on and so forth. And since then, of course, hundreds of people were arrested and charged with murder and terrorism. Hundreds. Nobody, not one, has been tried.
Yeah.
Some group, I think they were about 100, were released on the eve of the 2021 elections. Again, as part of the election campaign. No trial. After 5 years in jail. Their king remained in jail until they forced, and I can say without any shade of doubt or contradiction, fear of contradiction, that he was forced as a condition of freedom to sign amnesty papers. And when you sign amnesty, you simply say, I am guilty.
Exactly.
Forgive me.
Yeah.
So, but that is not, it's coerced. And I know for sure it is coerced. When I was charged with the terrorism myself, and with the treason, and with the rape, and illegal possession of guns, some of the people I was charged with would be taken out of prison by security people to be persuaded to accept to sign amnesty documents. That's not how amnesty law is supposed to work. And the idea was to use them then against me. And indeed, some, after years in prison and being told you will die here if you don't do what we are telling you, they would break down and sign in order to regain their freedom. Because of course they would be tortured, they would bring their family, they would tell their families would come and plead with them. Now, you know, if you are at home, at least maybe you would help us to get school fees, maybe you would, and people would break down and sign amnesty papers.
Yes.
And that's what the king, who was celebrating 57 years of coronation yesterday, went through.
Yeah.
In order for charges put on him to be dropped, which happened after 7 years of not being tried. 7 years He was in prison. Even for
So that means he was never guilty in the first place.
Absolutely. Of course he wasn't, because if he was,
if you are not
why
tried,
shouldn't you be tried in 7 years?
At least if you are tried, then you sign the amnesty papers after you are convicted, then you can understand that.
Absolutely.
But then you are signing amnesty papers.
Absolutely.
You have not been tried. That means you are still innocent practically.
Absolutely. So, the day after saying he had now been removed of all these charges, he was now a free man, the students were burnt and killed in his in his home. And again, you know, everybody froze and what is this? ADF. Maybe it was ADF, maybe not. We don't know. When he now made the plan to go home, as soon as he went home, people were burnt in the lorry. I think the day after, they were burnt in the lorry. Oh, ADF.
A day after,
Now,
tourists.
coronation was yesterday. The day before, tourists are burnt and killed.
Dr. Mike.
So these may be obviously just coincidences. But you know, somebody said that once is a happenstance, twice is a coincidence, but 3 times is a tendency, is enemy action. It's no longer a coincidence, it becomes a tendency. and this is enemy action.
I want to bring in the common denominator here. And in everything that is happening, there is a Ugandan down there who is directly affected, and yet they cannot directly influence or change whatever is happening. So Doctor, when you paint such a picture of the state has been unjust or unjust to Ugandans, now where does this leave a Ugandan out there?
You see, the Ugandan out there is a captive. This is what I have been saying all these years. He's a captive, and he is, you know, lives at the mercy and on the whims of those who have captured him or her. And the only way we shall live dignified lives, the only way we shall live in a country which we own, which we call ours, and where we have the ultimate power and authority, is to fight and regain control over the country. We don't have control over the country. And this is why I say that anybody who thinks we shall get to freedom without a fight is daydreaming. We shall not get freedom by putting a piece of paper that the one who captured us gives us and asks us to put it in a box he's holding that we shall that he is the one and is the one counting and that we shall vote to say get out of we are now free. It won't happen. Simply won't happen. And that's why, you know, I no longer consider those who captured us the problem, because we know, first of all, they captured us for their own reasons. They are happy, they have achieved their reasons. They are living, in fact, as kings, and that's why they are now thinking of succession. So they are, you know, they are fine. But we who are captured for 40 years and are unable to break out of captivity, we are the problem now.
And you're still comfortable in that captivity.
Yes, we become the problem, you know, and so I am not attracted at all by anybody who simply blames Museveni. Museveni has been very, in fact, candid with us. He said he hunted, he killed an animal, he's now feasting on it, and he says, you tell me to go where? when I have my carcass which I killed, go where? You know, so he's not going to go away. So and that he has been clear. He has been, you know, he's very clear. He has been open. So the challenge and the people we need to talk to are ourselves. How do we then get out of this? And as I have said, people may propose other ways, but my very clear recommendation is that we have to fight to get out.
Okay.
And in order to fight, I have also been saying we have to do two things first. First, that we have as many people as possible become aware of the dilemma in which they live. Because some people indeed are not, it's not clear to them. Because those who captured us
Yes, sir.
are not seated also. They are busy causing misinformation at an industrial scale, you know? Bombarding people's minds with misinformation that things are all right. They are actually going to be better off tomorrow. Bonna bagenda gagawala, bonna bagagawale. Everybody is going to be rich. Relax. Program is here. All of you are going to be rich. All kids are going to have education. Bonna basome. Things are all right, you know. But none of their children will come with yours to school. Yet you believe that you are going to have, you know. So that we must counter this massive propaganda that supports, that confuses our population and paralyzes them from taking action.
I understand it.
So that is the first thing that we must do. And every citizen who gets the message, that's why it is critical that you become the messenger of that message.
No, doctor, the people know the message. If you realize,
If you know,
But I
first,
think-
I'm saying there are two steps. So
Yes.
first, if you know, disseminate it. Disseminate it, because I can assure you not everybody knows. And the greatest majority actually don't have that information, especially in our rural areas. In the towns, people have many ways of getting information.
Yes.
In the rural areas, they don't. The radio stations they listen to are all controlled, owned and controlled by those who captured them. And they bombard them with the same misinformation. So we must undo that. And everybody has a duty to do that. Secondly,
Yes, sir.
we must organize so that we have coordination amongst the captives. A coordination that will enable us to speak with one voice and to act together, to act in concert. If we want to take action, we are all coordinated and we take a very strong action. Once we achieve a critical level of both of these,
Yes, sir.
then we shall be able to break out of the prison.
Okay.
We shall. And that's why, you know, everybody, because the trouble is, and especially this trouble is amongst those that have been to school, you know, supposedly enlightened, but it appears whoever goes to school, I really don't know whether it is just our schools or what, you know, it's like they pump them with inability to understand rather than ability to analyze things, you know.
Yes.
The most
all the politics have become so dirty that people do not want to affiliate with politics.
No,
do you realize it's
this
also
is,
there?
No.
Especially among the elites that you're talking about.
This is not about, you know, even when there is, that's what the elites should help others. They should be able to, you know, to analyze amongst all the confusing messages and signals and so on, and say no. Like before the program, you were telling me you have a company that helps to understand which is fake news, which is not fake news.
Yes.
So that's what elites should do for others. Should be able to say, no, this is useless stuff. There is no Bonabagagawale. You know, like this parish development model which they are running around the country with. Any educated person should know that this is utter nonsense. It's not going to cause any change in the conditions of people in the country, and to galvanize people to fight to have a different type of country.
Yes, sir.
And so that is the first step. And the second step being to create networks of leaders that can coordinate to have common action. And these networks of leaders should not be partisan.
Yeah.
Because again, our parties, political parties, have been as part of the propaganda of the people who captured us. They have projected political parties as if they were parties functioning in a democracy, where then you are just supposed to present alternative policy programs that policies and programs that would be running the country if you were given power. That's what you know. Political party, and that you show how your programs are different from the other one. Those programs have no chance whatsoever of ever seeing the light of day,
Okay.
without people having the power to decide.
Doctor, lastly on this issue, is there something you've talked about? We have a leader, Mr. President Museveni. Every time there are challenges like this, he comes to speak. Like he's talking about the same issues. Like he is not the one who is supposed to solve them. Like, for example, if there is a challenge, he will also cry the
He becomes a complainer.
Exactly. If there is a challenge in people who have been murdered, he still say, now the police has a problem. And we're all looking at him saying, Mr. President, I think among all of us, you have something to do about this issue. Why is it, what does this speak of the person of the president if every time he's lamenting?
You see,
like
this is why I said we should no longer focus on the weaknesses of Mr. Museveni. Because anybody who has been following our politics would know that he will not provide any solution, you know. And he doesn't intend to provide any solution. If he intended, maybe he would. If that's not his intention, he's on a totally different trajectory.
Yes,
He's
sir.
happy as things are, and we don't really come to just confuse you so that things continue moving as they are. So we shouldn't waste time on how Museveni manages the country.
Yes, sir.
Because unless anybody has been blind, he has been here for nearly 40 years, much longer than most of you people
Yes.
who now live in this country. So his intentions for Uganda can no longer be in question. That he has no good intentions whatsoever for Ugandans. That should not be in debate.
Okay.
And therefore, rather than interrogate, spend time interrogate, but why does Museveni do this? Why doesn't he see that he's the one who is supposed to? Of course he knows. You don't think he's a fool. He knows that the buck stops with him. He knows that he's the chief executive officer. Whether his ministers fail, it should be him to answer, not the ministers. But, you know, he has seen, he has seen that we are fools, first of all,
Yes,
and
sir.
that he can continue deceiving us and telling us lies and avoiding responsibility as much as he wants without being sanctioned. That is all. So the problem, you should ask, still comes back to us. Because, you know, look, just the other day,
Yes, sir.
the country woke up to a situation where nearly everybody in the government had stolen mabati from Karamajong.
Yes.
This was money, our tax money, we collected, and the idea then that had been made
Yes, sir.
was that we put the money to build houses for Karamajong,
Yes.
who are in a deprived situation, who have been in situations of insecurity and so on for long. So they decided, let's put this money. The same people who were supposed to do it then promptly descended on the mabati and stored them.
Oh, God.
As misfortune was for them, like I was saying, now they store things that are noisy.
Big and bright. Everybody can see from wherever. Yeah.
The other minister put them on his cattle shed, roofed his cattle shed. People came and saw written on the Prime Minister's office.
Doctor, and it's still business as usual now.
Absolutely. They are all still part of Museveni's cabinet. So who is the Mabati thief? The chief Mabati thief is Museveni
Doctor, allow me
himself.
read just these messages of our Ugandans. Because when you talk about these things, I beg not to agree with you, but it's actually the truth. I cannot disagree. I look for an avenue to disagree and I cannot find it, because if you are an alert Ugandan, you can see what is happening in this country. I have messages that are coming through. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in up to now. Here is a Jeremiah. You are here saying the opposition leader, you know. Greetings to Dr. Icon. That is Ebao Peter. Thank you so much for watching. David Tizikwayo, you're connecting from South Sudan. Thank you. I know Muhwezi Patrick, live and clear from Doha, Qatar. Thank you. Then Kebi is my president forever. Long live Papa. That is Doggy Face Sembadiu. Watching you live from Kampala. Musinguzi Jude. James Derek. Mumbere is crying your name. Eriku Martin Ochen. Let Dr. Kizza Besigye explain why he caused confusion in FDC. Him moving to Katonga would be good, but siding with another faction does not reflect his legacy. I think Doctor has talked about this, but if he feels free, he can also talk about it. Nayebari Christine, thank you so much. Most of you are sending Thanksgiving remarks. Let me see. Raymond Tege, thank you, sir, for your honesty, insight. Long live Dr. Kizza Besigye. Besigye Holic, your self-proclaimed Besigye Holic, says, sir, Uganda is ruled by gunmen that you once called warlords. Gunmen are known to rule by the gun. As a professional military officer, what is the use of the guns if not to subjugate the people? I'll just repeat this message again. Besigye Holic, she says, sir, Uganda is ruled by gunmen that you once called warlords. Gunmen are known to rule by a gun. As a professional military officer, what is the use of guns if not to subjugate people? Live from Mombasa, that is Arinda. Besigye Holik continues to say, unfortunately, Kano, the people you call leader in Uganda don't emerge from the people they purport to lead. They impose themselves on the population, and in the end, they fear the people. And in the long run, they fear their own shadows. To see me, Richard, you're live from UK. Thank you so much for watching. By the way, our diaspora team, thank you so much for watching. You really do a tremendous job. A very good morning to Doctor. Super excited to have him. He's a true definition for change. Let him send my regards to Honorable Semuju and Omlodi. Thank you so much. I will continue with just a few comments here. Just a minute. Our network is loading. Okay, I have here, there is Rock Ngwenya. All we need is ICC speed up the judgment on Mr. Museveni's behavior. We pray day and night for ICC to call these murderers with immediate effect. Please, ICC, we have cried enough. Show us that you really care about Ugandans. You're calling ICC. I think ICC is far. It should be you, a Ugandan, to do something about this, but it's okay. That is your opinion, and it's valid. Besigye Holik, Uganda is led by Munana C. How can power go off when you are talking to Ugandans? Live watching from Canada, big up, Doctor. Guys, thank you so much. Kato, Jacob, I've seen your message. Josephat Mahengula, I've seen your message. Ariho, Joseph, I've also seen your message. Though we cannot finish all messages. I'll just finish up with... who's this? Yepa S. Edmond, we are live, and of course Nkudie Emma, Dr. Gwewafe. Gwewawe, Doctor. I'll start with that.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I'm truly grateful to all those who have been with us in the audience.
Yes, sir.
And who have taken the responsibility to send in a feedback on what we are discussing today. And most of you are obviously simply appreciating what we are doing and saying. And I thank you for that, vote of thanks. There was one who raised the concern about what's going on in FDC. I hinted a little on it in passing, even in this program, simply to point out that political parties will not function as you expect them to do, as they should indeed be doing in a state where the country is under total capture. Political parties cannot have freedom to function. Political parties are democratic institutions.
Yes, sir.
They function in conditions of freedom. Once there is no freedom, political parties will not function. They will also be captured, whether you like it or not. And I have said this long before what has happened in FDC happened,
yes,
and even before what happened in other parties happened, in DP, and certainly Besigye was not in UPC for UPC to be captured. He was not in DP for DP to be captured, and FDC similarly will be captured, and the other parties that are there will be captured, whether it's JEMA, whether it's NUP, whether it's, they will be captured if we don't free the country so that they can function in conditions of freedom.
Yes, sir.
And that's why I said the main emphasis we must push, all of us, is to unite the oppressed. Because our task, the task before us now, is non-partisan.
Yes.
It's the task of freedom. Freedom is non-partisan. It's the task of regaining our rights in the country. That is non-partisan. So we need maximum unity, not partisanship. in the struggle.
At this moment.
Yes, in the struggle. Let's liberate ourselves, and once free, then we reset the country. And the country definitely needs a reset in a period that we call a transitional period. So we will have to go through a transition from gun rule to people rule. In between, there is a transition from the gun to people.
Yes, sir.
And in that transition, the main highlights of what needs to be done to make the successful transition is one, agreeing afresh
Yes, sir.
on how we live together and how we manage ourselves.
Yes, sir.
In other words, the constitution. We must agree, must have a constitutional review, a major constitutional review. Secondly, is to rebuild state institutions according to the constitution.
Yes, sir.
Because institutions serve whoever has power.
Yeah.
Today, because all power belongs to Mr. Museveni and his family, all institutions are his institutions. So if people have regained the power,
Yes, sir.
we now need to build and reorganize institutions so that they become people's institutions. So that we can have a people's police, we can have a people's army, which UPDF was meant to be, and that it would not be a people's army that is killing and torturing citizens as is happening in CMI, in total violation of the law and the constitution. So we must rebuild institutions. The judiciary must be rebuilt to become a people's judiciary, and so on. So that is in the transition. It won't happen under junta rule. Thirdly, we will need to reconcile the country.
Yes.
The country today is full of anger. Anger not just against the people who have superintended over this disaster that we have, but anger against each other. You see, now, for example, because of the dominance in the institutions by people from Western Uganda, you find that the people torturing others in the police in Arua, you'll find the Tumusime. And they, now some avoid putting on their names. You hear whoever is torturing another one there is at Kunda.
Look, those are ambiguous allegations you are making.
They are not. You go and see what happens.
No, you know, I want to quote you right. The people who are torturing from the West, that's big.
At least who are visibly seen
Those you
leading those, you know, who has been, you know, of course there are others. I mean, we are fighting here with Omara. Omara is not, but in the main, of course, Omara was functioning under Kaihura. So you'll find the commanders and the drivers of this are from a particular region. And people, therefore, rightly are angry against people from the West.
Exactly, you hear them making remarks.
The
like
people
that.
of Ruwero during the war,
Yes, sir.
they were, you know, scared of people from northern Uganda. And they believed the people who killed the people in Ruwero were from northern Uganda. And even if it is not as a result of the recent politics, don't forget it started in the 60s.
Yes.
So the attack on Buganda was seen as the works of people from northern Uganda. Then came Idi Amin, and you remember the attack on Anyanyas and seeing people of West Nile as a problem.
Yes.
And so on and
now
so
it's-
forth. So we need to have, first of all, to discover the truth of what happened in all these episodes.
Yeah.
For example, this massacre we are talking about in Kasese, we must discover who killed the people of Kasese. It must be found out. We must have a truth-telling, an investigation also to find out what actually happened. Who killed people in Ruwero? Because the people of Ruwero keep on saying they are UPDF. The people of UP who are in UPDF, I mean in UNLA say, no, these were the guerrillas of Museveni who were killing people, deceiving that they are, so we must understand where the truth lies. Who killed people in northern Uganda?
Yes.
Was it CON? Was it UPDF? There is still a debate. Who killed? So we need a truth-telling, justice, and reconciliation process. That is in that period of the transition.
Yes, sir.
And once we have a new constitutional order, we have institutions that are competent to implement a new constitutional order, and we have reconciled the country, then we should be able to now have free and fair elections, that then people decide who should lead them and how they should be led.
Okay, Doctor.
And that then they have power over their leaders. Leaders are just servants. And whoever doesn't lead properly, they are able to throw them out.
Okay.
That's when we shall hopefully transit into a stable, peaceful, sustainably developing country.
Okay, Doctor. Let me come to the issue that is happening in Parliament. MP Zake has been in the middle of news, unfortunately for the wrong reasons, or apparently for the wrong reasons. We don't have evidence to it. This gentleman has been ridiculed in Parliament. This is not the first time that he's facing the disciplinary committee. In the past, he was even removed from the position of Commissioner of Parliament to Parliament. Now he is still facing the same problems there. Doctor, is it that MP Zake is a bad-mannered individual as a human being, or is there something that is intentional in attacking the person of Zake in Parliament? Where is the justice in your own lens of perception?
Frankly, I plead guilty
Yes, sir.
to not closely following what goes on in
And
Parliament.
I would understand you, Doctor. I would understand you when you say that.
And that is, frankly, because I don't expect much from that Parliament. So I honestly do not pay much attention to the goings on, in that Parliament. Because as I have been saying,
Yes, sir.
Parliament is a captured institution, just like all the other institutions, like the judiciary is captured, Parliament is captured, security institutions are captured, financial institutions are captured, non-governmental organizations are captured. So Parliament certainly does not function as parliaments should. And
But your opposition players are trying their level best to use that front to fight for the Uganda you want.
Well,
Recently, they even boycotted a session.
Yes, you see, I believe that 500 people don't wake up to go to the same place every day and do absolutely nothing. I'm sure they do something there. The question is whether the sum total of what they do will solve
The issues.
the problem that we have been discussing. Whether they have the capacity to change the tide to have a different country. And the point I'm simply making is that they don't.
Yes, sir.
And in fact, even what they decide, Mr. Museveni, although Parliament is supposed to be the supreme organ of Uganda, because it's a representation of all the people of Uganda,
Yeah.
and since power belongs to the people, all power actually should belong in Parliament. It's the embodiment of the people. But you have seen Parliament make resolutions and Museveni just dismisses them with all the contempt that he can marshal, you know, and that is the end of it. Or if they become a little stubborn, he loads them in buses and takes them to Kyangwazi, and they will come back singing a different tone. So you see what happens, they put them in military uniforms in Kyangwazi, make them run around, and then he comes and in his own military uniform, of course, he's a general there as a private. The general comes and dictates to them what must be done. They load them back in buses. They bring them back.
I don't even understand why they're always putting on military fatigue when they're there.
To be ordered, to receive orders. Because civilians so it's not a parliament worth wasting time on. But having said that, you see there, and I haven't followed really the dynamics of the specific accusations that have been leveled on MP Zake.
He called another legislator a prostitute.
Yes, I have not followed. They are always calling each other all kinds of things. What I can say is that, you see, the moment one is not acting in compliance with what they expect, and in a manner that can inspire wider defiance, then that one is treated as an enemy. You can speak, stand up and oppose and do, but when you engage in disobedience, disobedience is what is the realm of defiance. Once you disobey and inspire others to disobey, then you are treated as an enemy. And I get a sense that Zake is inclined to disobedience.
Yes, to defiance.
And I think that's where he attracts a lot of, the flack, the attack that he gets. Now, you see, if people use derogatory words, sometimes it is again part of saying something that is so strong that people pay attention. You know, it's part of it's a method of fighting. It's like when Stella Nyanzi undressed. You know, she was a university don, PhD holder, powerful academic, But how many are known for any position they hold in Makerere better than Nyanzi for her extraordinary action of undressing and on camera and everybody, you know, see. So it's a method of resistance, of communication. When she called Mr. Museveni a pair of buttocks, she was, you know, quickly grabbed and taken to Ruzira and I don't know what, and people started saying, yes, but what is, there must be something wrong. Why are you being called buttocks? And it starts, so I think Zake is in that scheme of things, of doing what is not compliant with the system. And I think that's why he's attracting the kind of attack and response, which is not, at least the court have said that he was wrongly removed from
the position,
from his membership of the parliamentary commission. And it appears indeed that the recent scuffles may be partly in response to the court decision. They want to scuttle the directive that he can now go back and sit in the commission under the speaker who had expelled him, and so they are trying to see how to detain him and to cause other situations that can avert that kind of situation happening. So I think we need to look, first of all, you know, like I have said, I don't think that in the whole broad scheme of things that we need to spend a lot of time on Parliament. But certainly Zake is an interesting member of Parliament that we need to look at a little more analytically than just
putting them in a group.
Join the mob that is condemning and attacking, which mob is collectively really criminal. These leaders of NRM are engaged in a collective crime against the country, you know, that I have been describing in this whole program of injustice.
Yes.
You know, people who are, I've told you about the most fresh crime of stealing from Karamajong.
And it's an irony that you steal from Karamajong.
So
the poorest.
So how do you now start criminalizing Zake? You know, the thieves, the what, you know, who have caused so much pain to everybody. Where do you get the moral justification to gang up against Zake for whatever he may be saying or doing? So, but like I have said, really my views are not based on good understanding, detailed understanding of what is going on in Parliament, and therefore it may be, my views may be slightly skewed as a result.
Okay, and maybe just this is a general perspective of, is there a way you advise the opposition members of Parliament to use that space in a more proactive, in a more impactful way? Are there some things you can say that they should do? Because maybe, even if Parliament you're saying is a rubber stamp, but it's still a Parliament of Uganda, and the things that they decide, they will still be on record 100 years from now that this was decided by the 11th Parliament. So in your regard, are there some things, in case you were to talk to Mpuga today and Chagulanyi, that you would advise them to use that avenue, that opportunity they have in Parliament?
Well, certainly it's a very useful platform and can be indeed used to focus the country on what is going wrong. They have good access to information, including information that maybe some of us cannot access. And at least if they fail to get it, they can make noise so that the country knows that there is something being hidden.
Yes.
And therefore, yes, they can help the country understand in greater detail, and they can mobilize around the terrible things that are happening in Parliament in a much more robust way than possibly they are doing. But you see, again, they have constraints doing so.